looking around the room and I don't see anybody new. This might be the first time we don't have to do introductions. Right?
Sounds good, Cece.
I may just reintroduce myself, since
Okay.
there's a few people that I have not met
Okay.
before. I met some of you earlier as I walked in, but for those that have not actually met me, I'm Yurista Gary. I'm the new Fire Adapted Communities Coordinator with the DNRC. So for the county, I'm not for the state, as someone asked me in an email earlier today, thank goodness. And hopefully from the next meeting, I will play a bigger part in facilitating the meeting. Thanks, Anna, for, you know, pulling your weight double and triple over the past few months. So there we go.
Yeah.
Let's get started. And thanks everybody for accommodating us a few minutes later. We didn't know how long the previous program was going to run into, so we're going to try and get out of here when we can.
All right. So the first reminder is to make sure you sign in. And if you have not filled out the voting rights commitment form, this would be a good time to do that, because soon we will probably be voting on something.
Do we need a new one every January?
Yeah, if you.
If we did it when we started these, which was just a few months back.
Well, actually, at the end of last year, we didn't have people sign them yet. We waited till January. So if you haven't signed one for this year, it's time to do that. Right?
I think I did.
Okay. All right. So we're skipping, okay, we're going straight to old business. And I believe the only old business we had was a financial report. Is that right? Or does somebody else have any old business?
I don't bring up financial. I'll do the financial report, and if
Yeah.
somebody thinks of old business after, they can bring that up. We have $6,867 to spend. We do have 2,600 that's actually encumbered for our magnets. That's why the number is a little bit less than the previous time. We did go ahead and reorder or order a reprint of the open burning permit magnets. However, as you'll find later, we do have a long list of outreach projects that we'd love to put out there that has a lot of money. So we may reduce the amount of magnets that we print so that we can free up some of those funds. So there's a little asterisk next to that. And so those funds, the 6,800 is the DNRC funds and the Forest Service funds that we've committed to the council that need to be spent by June or July of this year. And then as a reminder, we do have that $5,000 for an air quality program grant that we received. And that is a program that Yurista is working with Laura and the Bitterroot Climate Action Group to utilize that. And then when they have a kind of a good sketch of that program, they will present that to us and how they intend to spend those funds and run that program. So any questions, concerns, comments? Yeah.
That was easy. All right, Kristen, you're gonna be doing the next update as well. You should probably just be sitting up here.
It's like the poor fire council, the fire chiefs, whenever I'm there, it's like I'm at the meeting. Okay, so our outreach team met on the 24th, and we discussed primarily the communications plan. Hard copies are over on the desk. We have essentially what we hope to be a finalized product. Please look at it because it does determine what all of us say. It's those guidelines as to what are our key messages, right? Somebody comes up to you and asks, what do you guys do? It's got the mission on there. And if they ask, well, what are your main, goals and objectives? At least you can say, well, here's the messages we want to get out, right? So it guides all of us.
And you already sent that out by email, right?
Not this version.
Okay.
Not this version. And so we will, but hard copy is there. If you have any edits or feedback, please provide that. You can do it, you can send it to me directly or Eurista or Judy. And just give us feedback by March 15th, if you can. And if we don't get any big changes, then we'd like to vote on it in April. So that'll be a vote at the April meeting to accept that. Upcoming events and projects, we have the Be Prepared event from 10 to 3 at the fairgrounds. Eurista, myself, Judy, and Sam are gonna be staffing that. So, get the word out and maybe stop by.
Yeah, stop by.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric, you're gonna be there, right? Yeah.
Yep.
It's this Saturday, starting at,
This Saturday from 10 to 3, correct? To
Yes.
3? Okay,
Yeah, at the fairgrounds in the art building.
This Saturday?
this Saturday, yes. I haven't seen a lot of information out about it. Are
Anna
they-
found a post today and she shared it on,
Emergency management.
yeah, on Fire
Yeah,
Route,
and I
but
got the
uh,
graphic on that from the organizers of it. If anybody wants to copy that graphic or share it.
Yeah,
or
she
promote
shared it
that's totally
today.
Okay,
so
so.
yeah, go on there and share it on your own pages, you know,
Okay,
get people out
Hey,
there.
Kristen,
yeah,
so what is the theme again for that event?
be prepared. It's just
Okay,
emergency
just be prepared,
preparedness, as I
okay.
understand, yeah, so it's anything that has to do with, right? Like
Yeah, it's
any type
not
of-
necessarily specific to wildfire.
Yeah,
It could be any, any type of disaster, but we're certainly gonna have a lot of representation from, wildland fire. Folks.
Yeah.
So,
So I think this is the first time they've ever had this event, correct? So
No,
it's-
I don't think so, because I found a post from a year ago or 2 years ago when they did it also.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think the difference this time is it's more of a public there, that wasn't at the fairgrounds before, and so we've got a lot better exposure and advertising just for the public to come.
Okay.
So,
so Kristen, are we mainly focusing on the evacuation thing, or are we also telling people about they can do home assessments? sign
Oh,
up
yeah,
for-
that's
I think
preparedness,
everything, yeah, we
right?
have sheets
Yeah.
printed and, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
just see what we can get.
Right,
We have no idea what the turnout is expected, so.
yeah.
we'll just play it by
Well,
ear.
preparedness includes both, like, when I go to an assessment, I let individuals know that there's 2 types of preparedness that I discuss with them, and that's, the preparedness of their home and their property, but also the preparedness of themselves and their family to make sure they have that evacuation plan, that go bag pack, that they have a plan for their livestock. So preparedness is a pretty broad thing, so I think be prepared, we'll talk about all of that, plus our home assessments and yeah, so we will find out. The Bitterroot Tourism and Relocation Guide that we discussed the last time, you guys had a great idea, and we went to the chamber with it, of submitting an article instead of doing an ad, and they agreed. And so Eurista's been working hard on an article, she just sent it to the chamber for their input as to whether this is something that they're looking at, and then we will go from there. It's the final is not due until the 17th, so we do have a little time to change that. If you would like to see a copy of that article, reach out to Eurista. We can send that to you so you can see what it's like. It's a really short snippet, and it's pretty much geared towards visitors and kind of newcomers, and just being aware of that risk and steps they can do. And we have obviously a link to our website and mention home assessments in there.
Hey, Kristen.
Yeah.
How often does it come out?
Once a year, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this would be, especially if we can get in there and it's well received, like this could be a yearly, we just retain that spot ideally. We may be encouraged, or we may want to purchase ad space in the future, just as a way of saying thank you for allowing us this extra space. Here's some funds, like it's just kind of a nice thing. to
Yeah,
do,
because
so,
she did say a lot of people are
yeah,
requesting articles so that they don't have to pay for ad space.
Right.
So she said this year she can get us in, but she doesn't know about next year, so.
right. I think it would be a good move to do a small ad. The Bitterroot Building Industry Association Home and Ranch Expo was February 3rd and 4th, and Mike was not here last time. So I'm just bringing it up really quick. Mike did attend, correct?
I was there on Friday night, took down a lot of the information that was dropped off the board office. Friday night it was well attended as far as people I spoke with. I'm not sure as far as Saturday how it went, but then I don't know how much information they brought back, but I got a lot of it out on Friday, but much so good.
Great, thank you. So Mike represented us well. We did have a booth last year and received about 45 contacts and had a few assignments signed up. So it's something that the outreach team is thinking maybe in every other year participation in that, to balance out kind of the cost and the time, because it is a little labor intensive to provide staffing for both of those days. And so.
And an expense for a booth.
Yes, yeah, for that expense. And so, if everybody's good with that, that's gonna be the outreaches team plan with that. Judy and Byron are part of a Bitterroot National Forest video that is going to be centered around Byron's Roaring Lion presentation. And I have not seen it yet, so I'm excited to see the video, but we're hoping to get multiple versions or access to multiple versions of the video, plus maybe even a short PSA length snippet of it that we can use. And
I
some
can
of
tell
our
you, it
outreach.
hasn't been recorded yet. But the whole point was, everybody in the room has probably heard Byron's whole presentation about Roaring Lion Fire, and eventually he's gonna retire and maybe not want to give that for the 1,000th time. So we're trying to get it on video so that we have it and can use it for different things.
Can we be extras in this?
I don't know about that.
No, and that's, I haven't seen his presentation, but I've heard,
You
it's-
haven't?
no, I haven't. So
Oh.
that's why I'm like, I think this would be great, because I've heard it's really good, so.
Yeah, what we're hoping is the videographer can do different versions of it. Maybe we can do a 30-second and a 1 minute. And maybe use them for other things, get our, main things across that we might want to have on like a TV ad with the local Missoula station. So it'll be a multi-purpose kind of thing, but he hasn't recorded yet. We're still working on a date.
No, and it's awesome that it's happening, so thanks for being a part of that too. The burning permit magnets are being reprinted, as I mentioned before. We did initially order 5,000, we may reduce that amount to free up some funds. The county does have a bunch of burn permit magnets, but they have some incorrect information because they changed the burn permit website like a week after we had them printed. So they do have those, but we have stickers to put on those, and that's a little labor intensive. So next item is Hamilton Library. We have a presentation scheduled for June 8th at 6 p.m. there. So that is going to be a neat thing. Last year we did have it scheduled, but it was canceled. So we're excited to actually hopefully have it happen this year. We discussed at the last council meeting, our outreach team providing the council with a list of potential or desired projects for us to do and for the council to fund. And we incorporated the council's suggestions that we covered last month. Now, some of that may have happened when we had the Zoom fallout, because I know in Zoom world, we continued the discussion. And so I'm not quite sure what all was the whole council and what may have been just Zoom world, but these at least are many of the items that the council, or part of the council did bring up. A billboard was discussed. And so the outreach team looked into securing a billboard and has done a couple of different graphics for billboards. And we would love to do at least 2 months of one billboard, potentially at Woodside. In May. In April and May, or May, no, I'm sorry, May and June. And having a billboard, something like this. So really short and simple, because it's a billboard. And pretty general, but gets the idea of what, and it points them to the website. And so, that would cost $1,600. And then
Is that for 1 month or 2?
for 2 months, so 1 month, it's $700, and then you have $190 vinyl fee that creates the vinyl. And then that's a one-time fee for vinyl if you continue to reuse it, so it's really cost efficient to go multiple months with the same vinyl. And so if we can do 2 months, it's a little more worth it. And so we would do that. Or we would like to do that. Judy has a great project that she has been discussing with local nursery specialists, and she would love to do a landscaping brochure. So really a brochure that's very hyper local. So it is specific to Ravalli County and fire-wise plants to plant here, and the landscaping in terms of the HIZ. So where and how to place those. And so this would be a fairly high quality brochure. And so we're targeting probably $2,000 to do that. We would love a monitor, like a portable screen that we can take with us to events, so that we can show like ember shower videos, and just possibly the video with Byron, just be able to have that video display wherever we go. The council had suggested radio messaging, so we built in potentially radio or TV messaging, especially once things are warmer, maybe targeting open burning and then preparedness in April or May. And it's radio can be very expensive, but it also can fit your budget. So you can just go to them and say, I've got $1,000. You know, this is my target time. What can I get? And so we put in there about 2,000, because that's generally enough coverage that the message gets out there. But that can be variable too.
Also, if you do some advertising, they're usually really open to some PSAs to go along with them.
Yeah, and so we usually, and I would hope it'd be the same, we usually get twice as many, and so we'll get a discount. So they'll give us a nonprofit discount where we get double what we pay for.
They'll match whatever. you
Yeah, they'll match.
Wrestling also with the radio, the airways, maybe like the piggyback, get Missoula, maybe piggyback in on part of the cost.
Yeah, and that is a good suggestion, because MCFPA, we're looking at doing radio ads again for open burning. And so that's definitely a good option. We could do that if we do that.
With
Again, with them.
MPF.
Missoula County Fire Protection Association. So thank you. Yep. We also, it was suggested at the last one that we do a mailer. And so a half-page, like postcard size, color, mailed to 4,000 residents, and this was just chosen just to give us a ballpark of what we'd be looking at, would be about $2,600. It's a little pricey. The big cost is the mailing, having them do the mailing. We can reduce that a lot if we have somebody that will process and do that work, but it's really labor intensive. It's a lot of work. And so that's just something to think about there. The team did discuss lanyards and personalized name tags for team members to use at outreach events, because we did feel that there wasn't a lot of support for like t-shirts or some sort of identity wear, but it would be really good for us to have, especially while we're sitting behind a booth, to have some sort of representation that was evident, and we felt a name tag would be really appropriate. And So we would do a personalized name tag for anybody that wanted one, and that would be working at Outreach. If you didn't want one, we're not gonna make you wear one, obviously. And then a lanyard with the Fire in the Root logo. And we could also do print out your name and affiliation. And that would be an option as well. So if you're not gonna go to a lot of events, you can do that. Or if it's somebody who's just volunteering for a brief time, we can do the lanyard.
DNRC Fest is nice.
Yeah, it is, but at the fairgrounds in the summer, you don't wanna wear a black fleece vest.
Well, all hot, yes. And we also talked about totes, so our reusable bags. It's something that we actually had ordered eons ago, well, before me, they ordered eons ago and did totes with the Fire in the Root logo. We
We
now
now have
have.
one here, but it
It's-
already went to
I
the
already
car.
took it to my car.
I have one in my car.
But the previous ones were white.
Right, and it looked great, but our new logo has our website on it, and so we would do a new one that was a darker color. And those are 500 for 1,700. The bottom line is the total requested is almost $11,000. So the question to you guys is, what do you not want? What does not?
Or do people have questions about any of the
Yeah.
specific items that we need to
Yes.
clarify?
Yeah, and were you able to, can we pull up the list of items, that spreadsheet that was in the Drive folder? Can we access that, or is that gonna mess everything up?
Oh, yeah.
I don't wanna mess it up, but it might help just for them to look.
So did you hear anything that you didn't feel was a good idea, or you just need clarification on what we're talking about?
I have a question.
Yeah.
On the lanyard and the name tag, yeah, approximate price of those.
Well, so I printed it off there, do you remember 30?
It's will be less than $500
Yeah.
for either one. The name tags are a little bit more expensive because they need to be custom made. So they'll be individually made for each member.
Other.
The lanyards basically have a little like laminated case, and we could, have some kind of format and print out your name.
It's in that,
Just
the
slide it in
meeting.
there. So it'd be a little bit more, something that's more transferable, not as permanent.
This is your person.
Like if we're doing home assessments would be a good thing for anybody that's doing home assessments regularly to have something like that, just.
Well, I was thinking that possibly we could look into mesh vests, the safety vest. With bitter, fire in the root on the back, with a little area for your name tag to go into it.
That's an option.
Because that could be worn at an event. At the fairgrounds.
Yeah.
If we go out and do an assessment on somebody's property, put that on.
And it's interchangeable, and then we just purchase, a
Exactly, and
half
if somebody
dozen.
drops out, they can bring their vest back and then the name tag can be replaced.
Yeah, or we just have like a half dozen of them,
Yeah,
or 10 of them,
Mhm.
and then it's just when you go out to an event, if you wanna,
yeah.
at least maybe one person has it at whatever event we're doing, or,
'Cause I
yeah,
ordered-
that's a great idea
I
too.
ordered those for people to wear on different job sites and they're not very expensive.
Yeah. Yep, that's a super idea too,
And the mesh ones wouldn't be as hot.
yeah.
Right. And last year or the year before, when the tearaway ones came out and all the emergency services started using those,
Yeah.
they had some screaming deals on the non-tearaway ones.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still,
They still do.
do they?
Yeah, they still do.
So
I got
that
a
might,
load of them.
yeah, so that might be,
Yeah,
because we don't need tearaways for
no. not-
home inspections.
not for this.
It's okay, we don't have
I
to.
have it out there, just have to get the settings figured out. Okay.
Unless you get out of hand and started running around.
Oh, we have a new person.
Yeah, we do. And we're gonna introduce her when you're done. I'll put it down. Look, somewhere.
Somebody didn't cook you with a rear view mirror when they drive by dragging that.
So I have a little spreadsheet that I put these projects on, so you can at least have a visual. One reminder, the DNRC does have, we do have discretionary funds. that are earmarked for Ravalli County. They are not earmarked for the council though. So, they are discretionary. But I could use some of those funds to help with these projects. And so, like, there's a little extra money there to help out. So, yeah, so I put, like, especially where this brochure, Judy's brochure, it might not be done right away. It might not be done in time that we have to spend the DNRC
I sure
initial
hope it
funds.
is.
It might not, because those, like something of that quality, you want it really well done. And because they're expensive, so you don't want to spend that money and, but we definitely could, but that could be something that we use the DNRC discretionary funds for. I would definitely be supportive of that, and that way we're not pegged into a deadline. So that could help with that funding. The other ones are actually really specific to spring, and we probably would want to,
What about the mailer? I mean,
yeah.
is that something that we're ready to do right now?
No.
With the CWPP around the corner. can
But
we
see,
table
that would be perfect for the CWPP. Because then we're sending out, hey, the like some information on the CWPP, and this is where you go to provide input. Because ideally, we'll have a public meeting scheduled fairly soon. Like, the meeting won't happen soon, but we'll have the date. And so we can put that in a mailer.
So
and
can
so
any of those
that-
funds come out of the CWPP?
One of the problems I see with the mailer though, is a lot of people, I know myself. A lot of that, if it's not something that,
Yeah, that's why.
it goes in the round pile.
Right, and so we might not do
Return on
that.
investment is, I don't think is there, and
Okay.
you got 4,000 households,
Especially.
that's
the
a drop in the
biggest
bucket in
ticket
the
price
county
tag.
right now.
Yeah,
That's a big
Yeah,
chunk
that
of
is a
money.
lot.
Yeah.
Big expense.
yep, so no, we can definitely mix that one. The only thing to think about too, though, is that really is the only thing we have to actually really give CWPP outreach. For.
Unless we tie it in with video or tie it in with the video or tie it in with, ad with the Bitter Star.
Well, and how can we say that we're gonna support them with a mailer when we haven't even really received anything as far as support? Like, has the CWPP court team talked about what we're gonna need for outreach and education yet?
No, because we're not there, and they won't have funds out of the grant, that, all those funds are going to the contractor, like that, there isn't that funding, and it isn't, we haven't even gone to that point to discuss, and I would be clear, our outreach for the CWPP is our outreach for the CWPP, it is not the core team asking us to do it. It would be us saying, this is a really smart thing to provide input on because this is a community wildfire protection plan. So that's what I'm meaning by outreach for the CWPP. It is, it goes right with our mission.
I think there's better ways we can do that instead of a mailer.
Okay,
I think we can utilize our local papers and do some advertising. If we had paid advertising, it would be far less and get more people.
you bet. No, we can do that. And we didn't discuss newspaper ads. They are very expensive. But for Ravalli County, radio and newspaper is really productive. And so we could do that instead.
Especially the Star.
Yeah,
Star,
yeah. So we can look at doing newspaper, reducing that price, and doing, maybe a couple ads or even just one quarter page ad.
Sure.
They'll do a story.
They do a story, yeah.
Yeah,
Front page.
yeah. Well, we can do both. Like yeah, we can get
And then
both.
as this goes forward with CWPP, also get the information collaborative. Raleigh County Collaborative.
Oh, yeah.
Right now, we're working through some of what Forest Service projects and stuff are,
Yeah,
so that can get out that way too.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, definitely.
So
Okay.
what I'm hearing is most people are saying, let's put off the mailer for now. that's a lot of money that we could save for a while, is that?
Yeah,
Kind of
I just
general
don't see the return on
consensus.
investment, Judy, because a lot of those things, even if the stuff comes in the office,
Right,
they get thrown in the round pile.
yep,
They don't even get looked at.
right. Well, and that's why we increased it to a half a page, because we were thinking, and remember this, these were items brought up by the council, like this isn't just us forcing what we thought, this was brought up in the council as a potential, and so, but we did increase the size. Because we were talking, those little postcards get thrown out, but the bigger ones sometimes you at least look at, but I'm totally okay with, cause that one's a lot of work too.
There is a little magazine called Get Local, I think, or something like that, and it costs. I think I have an ad in there for a half a page. And it's like, I don't typically pay the bills, but I think it's like $600 or $800,
Uh-huh.
and it goes to everyone.
Yeah, that's not.
Oh,
And it
that's
has
the one
coupons in
I
it, so
throw
it's
away.
okay.
Is that the bag?
It has
Yeah, well,
coupons and things.
It's
and it-
local, and I know our office advertises in it too, and I think it comes out quarterly.
I keep it in my car, because it has all the restaurant coupons in it.
So is that a better,
That's a way better.
Better returning investment than trying to put out 4,000.
okay, and so what, it's called Get Local?
I think so. Get Local.
Keep it local.
Keep it local.
Keep it local. Keep it local.
Okay, all right, we'll look into that and see on pricing. Okay, so that one will change to, yeah, or just add a new one, keep it local.
Look into it.
Uh-huh.
And the-
Billboard.
And
that's
the radio and
something we
TV
can do.
PSAs that you talked about,
Yep,
that would be a real good place to add the community wildfire protection plan stuff.
yeah,
In addition to what you got there.
yep, definitely. CWPP.
So generally speaking, I didn't hear anybody that had a concern about the billboard. Is that right?
Yeah, like, cause that we can reduce to 1 month.
That gets a lot of people.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
location you're talking about at Woodside, I think is a good one.
Yeah,
And then maybe everybody would be okay with the Firewise landscaping, but you haven't seen it yet, so you can't say okay. The monitor, did anybody have a concern?
and this one can go down, like, that's just a real general,
Depending on how big you
Okay.
want, just a regular TV will work, and
yeah,
Walmart got some that they had a 50-inch on sale for $350.
wow, so good, so that might go down, definitely. And that is not a need. This one, the monitor can actually plug in. Like as if we only have 300 left. And it's June 15th, right? Then we find a monitor that fits that amount, so maybe that's what that.
And
monitor
wasn't
is.
somebody going to look into a monitor that you can actually,
Yeah, I think that someone was me and that someone didn't.
oh.
Thanks, Judy.
Does anybody know of a particular kind of monitor that would work if we were outdoors at the fairgrounds and had it outside and you could still see it? Because computer monitors, you can't always see.
Yeah.
And that's where you look at your television, because I use a 32-inch television. One of the flat screen TV on my computer at home for a while. And it's just the only problem you have to turn it on separately from the computer.
So Judy, I've done some research. 'Cause I'm looking at getting one for the prevention trailer, the new one. And I was looking at outdoor TVs. They're around $5,000 for the good quality ones that we're looking at.
But if you're outside, it's like in a tent or something like that, where still keep
Yeah.
weather stuff off it.
We'll
It
buy
just
an
depends on what you're
umbrella.
looking for.
Okay. We'll just always set up next to Amherst trailer with a $5,000 TV.
There you go.
So, yeah, so I time wise, we probably need to, yeah, I was up like 10 minutes ago, but
Well, it's
totes
okay.
are expensive, is that? Like, is that lower, so that's lower than these, so you guys want messaging out for the public versus identity wear, is that your prioritization?
Yeah,
Okay,
You got it.
yes, Rick,
$7,000, is that what, or?
Yes. yeah, and that is including the burn permit magnets that we just spent, or that we just ordered reprint, we haven't paid for those yet, so I'm just
how
encumbered
much
the money. Well, those right now are 2,300 or 26.95, but if we reduce that amount, we'll cut it in half, so it'll be about
So we've
1,500.
got about $5,000 to.
No, we'll have more, we'll have about almost 8,000. If we cut the,
Man,
so we've ordered 5,000 burn permit magnets, right? So I encumbered that money, we haven't spent it yet, but it's allocated, right? But we can cut that order in half.
Does our cost per unit change?
So it probably will, so I'm guessing it'll be about 1,500, like it's not gonna be a direct half.
Let's not add a parameter, so we're at about, we have, what, $7,000 is what you have?
Yeah.
on the screen? So that we have to spend, this is,
There you go.
all has to add up to about $7,000.
Right, well, it could be a little more, like the 2,000, because I do have those discretionary funds. I don't wanna spend a lot more than 2,000, but I could spend that 2,000 on that brochure, yes. Cause that's,
Take us down to 6,300.
so,
Then we.
like, yeah, you're right, we're right there, and if we do the vests instead of lanyards and name tags. That will cut it down a lot more.
Something else, since we're gonna eliminate the 2,600 for the mailers. If the billboard works out really well, we could add a third month to that.
Now, hang on, I forgot to mention that. So our Southwest Montana Prevention Education Team kicks in. They start up usually around July. And both Anna and I and Eurista will be part of that team this year. And we routinely purchase billboards. And so what we will try to do is secure that same billboard, or if there's another location, a better location like Stevensville was brought up as an option, we will secure it for those summer months. And we will continue the messaging. It will need to be convention oriented, but like that, that's still right in line with our messaging. So we'll have a billboard up for hopefully at least 4 to 5 months, starting in May. So, yeah. So, yeah.
So bottom line, are we saying we're going to hold off on the 20, whatever? Aaron was it?
I hit it already.
Oh,
I
okay.
removed it.
And then we're gonna look into saving some money on the personalized name tags and things.
Yes.
But people are okay with all the other items on here?
Now, one thing, because we're transitioning into doing this with a huge council, and it's not just Anna and I going, hey, this is cool, let's print it and go. How much input do you guys want on these items? Like the billboard or the totes, like
Like design wise
Yes,
or?
Just get them done.
okay, like are you the outreach team going, as long as
Yes.
we make sure you're good with the product and the deliverable and you've okayed that spending money, and we have the communications plan. We're not gonna go outside of that. That guides what we're gonna put. So, okay. I just wanna be sure. on that. Okay.
Dawn if they don't like it.
I don't wanna be shot at, Dawn. So that's- Okay.
And by the way, speaking of outreach, Al, you had a good suggestion about using that constant loop video thing they have at the county building where you go in and pay your tag. They don't have that anymore.
Oh, they don't?
Nope, they got rid of it. I think they're doing some remodeling, and I don't know if that means it'll show up somewhere else or not.
Well, I wonder if they'd allow us to put our own screen in there with a loop on this, since we're gonna buy a TV for
$5,000 TV. What I was told was if we want to do anything like that, we can petition the commissioners in writing and see what they say. Which I'm not sure we're ready to do, so.
Yeah.
But it was a good idea.
If we ever need to contact the commissioners, let me know. Because I have a foot in the door.
But we got a couple, but.
We got.
We got Pete.
Yeah. But that, it brings up a good thing, as you are out and about in the county. Like, think about, we've talked about banners before. And we have banners actually, especially for restrictions, but banners, but also, like reader boards, you know, a lot of banks and stuff have those electronic reader boards, and many times they will put on a public service announcement.
Yeah.
And so if there's a good spot that you think is reaching a lot of people, then let us know. Yeah, like that's, yeah.
That's
So-
perfect CWP outlet.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, or when the public meetings are coming up, you know, to. have
Yeah,
a
this is a good segue. Drew is apparently not with us for a CWPP update. Ken, have you talked to him? Do you have an update for us that you can tell us?
Short update, sure.
Short as
Uh,
good.
Well, as Drew pointed out last time, they awarded the contract for the CWPP update consultant to DJNA. We had a kickoff meeting with them on February 27th. It was a virtual meeting, and then the next one is the 15th of March. All of these are virtual, by the way, because they want to use we want to use their travel money and time for the public meetings and
Oh,
not for just running up here to talk to a few people.
Yeah,
So the next one after that is sometime the week of the 27th, but the poll hasn't settled, I don't think. So those are the one meeting that we've already had. The next two are scheduled, and we're working on definition for the WUI, and along with the definition, and of course, we already did one, so we'll have that to contribute as a starting point along with other published definitions. And then along with the definition, the word definition, then there's the criteria, you know, critical infrastructure, power lines, this, that, and the other thing, housing densities, et cetera, et cetera. And then that follows logically into how we make our maps and document in the metadata for those maps, how they were produced. So that's the next step. And it's not a trivial one, because everything follows from that.
right.
So,
Definition of the WUI when there's already like 10 of them out there.
yeah,
That'll be
sometimes
interesting.
10 is harder to deal with than none. You know, but we do have the one that we collectively agreed on, what, 6 months ago or so. Maybe a little longer ago. And then there's other ones out there, and they're more similar than they are different. So that's the good news. And then how that translates into what the specific criteria are, and then how we produce the GIS layer and how we document that.
And then getting the public to accept it.
That's another whole hurdle, obviously. But until you can define something
Right.
and map it and do it consistently, you can't even have that conversation. It's like nailing jello to a tree. You know, you just don't get anywhere. So anyway, I think our definition is a pretty good starting point.
So do you see the first public meeting being sometime after the WUI definition and some of these parameters get figured out?
Oh, yeah, it will be. I
So-
don't have that schedule
I think it was
Mem-
July.
in front of me or memorized, but I think it was.
July, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a ways out. And the first hurdle I mean, we've got to go through the rural fire districts before we throw this down in front of the public too. I mean, it's a staged process.
Right.
And so if we don't get our ducks lined up, it won't work right.
So our outreach messaging about the CWPP that this council would do, we need to be careful that we don't get too far ahead before there's something to look at.
Right, we
Right.
have to give them an action, like where to go, and so we wouldn't until we have. Like that public meeting, once that public meeting date is firm, that's what we can message to is
Right.
here. And then, you know, one thing. We, and I especially have pushed for is some sort of avenue for public comment. So that's not just the public meeting, right? Either an email or some way that the public have of providing comments. So that it's not reliant on them having to be in one location, especially if they're from the far southern end. And so once we get that information, then we have something that, an action item that we can say. You know, a CWPP update is happening, it's important, go here to provide your input. If
But
you
we are
have-
gonna have different geography represented in the meetings. We'll have
Yeah.
multiple meetings, so one north, one
North,
central,
north, yeah,
one south.
yeah,
So we don't encumber people showing up
right,
on the other end of the valley.
yeah,
And, but until we have a date, time and place for those meetings,
right,
that would be the first messaging is. Here we go, this is the kickoff. And we're gonna have 3 of them and we'd be smart to set all 3 of the dates. Before we announce any of the dates,
Yeah, right.
so that we don't have to go through that, well, that's at the wrong place. That's at the
Right.
wrong end of the valley,
no, they'll have it, they'll
so.
have it all scheduled.
So that's the general strategy, and obviously, we can get a lot done in a 1-hour meeting on the 27th. And I lost the meeting about halfway through, and then got back for the last part. Didn't get assigned anything though, so that was good. And the next one's the 15th, and then one that week the 27th.
Will there be a website of some kind where people will be able to go and before the meeting, see what the CWPP even is, or?
And then there would do website.
Yeah, I mean, just so that.
Yeah,
They
there-
come to the meeting, they get all of this information
Right.
and have to respond right away, that's a lot if you haven't been involved.
Exactly, yeah, and there'll be that information out. I'm not sure exactly how much and when. You know, because July will be here before we know it. It seems like it's a long way off right now.
It's the
Because
day
we're
after
still
that.
shoveling snow, but it'll be here.
Yeah, that
instantly.
seems really important, that there be a
There-
way for people to
Yeah.
look at it, or maybe it'd be better if they didn't, but whatever.
Right, and that's the fire and root can. Share some information, not specific. To the CWPP update, but the information about these things. What, yeah, where to go and what these things are.
Right.
Not necessarily what they're gonna be in the CWPP, but. You know,
What is a CWPP? Like, we
Yeah.
have that on our website now. Like,
Right.
that's where we can-
and you know, and the evacuation plan's already there.
If they could use our website, we got a website set up.
Oh,
With
yeah,
the CWPP. As it's the update and we have the original there already. The people who are interested would have a chance to. I guess it's a good idea, think about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
we need to move on, so I'm sure Ken will follow up on that.
I was gonna say, and I don't know that they've gone into detail, but, you know, if they have a plan for that. You know, we'll find out and pass it on.
Yeah,
Ken, it would be nice to have sort of a timeline, a general one that over time firms up, but just a general.
Right,
Yeah.
and there is that general timeline out there. I didn't know I was gonna.
Be on the spot.
drilled on
I
it.
didn't know I was gonna present it, I didn't commit it to memory, and didn't bring it with me. So, and I didn't bring my computer either, so.
They're
So that's the
committed to
best-
having it done in December.
Yeah.
Best I could do was,
Christmas presents coming.
were those details that I got off my phone.
Okay,
And one of the next steps will be defining a public engagement plan for it. So we just haven't gotten it. We had one kickoff meeting.
Right,
So we're also figuring out this process too, all together, but with the contractor, so.
quickly.
I have a quick question, and it relates to CWPP. Is there such an animal as a list of homeowners associations in the different fire districts in the drainages?
No.
There's not. Okay, the second part of that, and then I'll quit. Is it possible that we could set up a little pamphlet for each of the 7 fire districts with a color coded map that would be in this pamphlet? So anyone who lives in the south part of the county, the central part of the county, they can go into their fire hall, and that would be related on our website, where they can go in and see if they live within the blue zone and fire district 6 or 5 or 3, and they can contact their fire hall, or the fire department, and find out from there where they can go to get information or to find out about an assessment. Does that make sense?
yeah, it does, and a lot of the fire districts have newsletters that they send out. And typically they go out in June. So if we can get the information, All Valley Fire Council, of course, would be the vehicle for doing that, but we can get some information to those fire districts so that it can be part of their newsletters that they send out June, first part of July. And then they send them out, a lot of them send out a fall one also. So that would be a way for people to give feedback directly to the fire districts, as well as the loop that we've already got established with the fire chiefs and the All Valley Fire Council.
Because it'd be a lot more concise than 76 pages for somebody to look at, which nobody's gonna do that. Yeah, I mean, for the whole program.
So the homeowners
Okay, we need to wrap it up because we only have 20 minutes left.
It's past 5 years and we still have. to come up with it.
Yeah, the homeowners association, that's a tough one. That's a lot harder than it seems like it ought to be.
Matt, you're next.
Okay, time for a quick, very quick fuels update. Matt?
You bet.
That was a quick CWPP one, huh? Follow that.
So now it's a competition. That's-
So I did meet with Byron and Dave Tingley. In NRCS, they were on the fuels call today, somewhere in person, mostly virtual there. And Melissa O'Dell, I believe is on the call, so she's on virtual. Big takeaways from Byron. RC&D is entering an MOU with Blue Forest and Pheasants Forever. That's going to potentially bring some more funding and potentially a little help on the implementation side there to them too. So kind of the first step here is getting that MOU established. And then we'll see about the funding. They're looking like an additional 500,000 potentially going to specifically to RC&D and their treatments they're chasing. So that was the big takeaway from Byron today. They're still got some pieces to work on. That's due June 30th on some.
Hey, Matt, that came up the last meeting we had, you guys drill into what their agenda is, this. Blue water.
Blue Forest.
Blue Forest,
It's they're a nonprofit.
well,
They focus
I'm
on
a
this, and I don't have any more information to share at the moment
oh, okay,
on about Blue Forest.
yeah,
I can tell you the Forest Service entered a new MOU with Blue Forest and Pheasants Forever as well, the USDA Forest Service International Forest. Plus, there was another MOU signed between Washington office and Blue Forest, basically the umbrella that give us the approval to do it. And there was my Johnny Lubke, partnership coordinator, put together a little flyer talking about basically what it is, and a quick synopsis of what the Forest Resilience is about is, and how we hope to work together, raise some funds. Short explanation, very simplified explanation of what it is. If you want more detail from it, I don't have it.
Yep, Kim covered next CWPPs on the 15th. Those are the big pieces. We're, for us specifically in the Forest Service, we're having a big meeting tomorrow morning to start to identify what our incident management team related to the Bitterroot front is gonna start to look like, and how we're gonna focus some of our efforts on identifying those units and starting to stand that up. The NEPA for that is scheduled to be done this July, August timeframe, so that's kind of a little faster timeframe than I was expecting, but that's because we're gonna use a contractor to do that. And then we'll be looking at standing that up and implementing probably first quarter of FY 24, so. Focusing on these fuels treatments specifically. That's the short word.
Okay, thank you. And then
So,
you have
yeah.
something to add, Anna?
Yeah, with that, I talked to Byron just before this meeting. They had some discussion about this meeting potentially not being connected to fire or underneath the arm of the fire and the root. Because right now there's just not roles for general members in these meetings. It's all agency. And so I think for now, we're just gonna dissolve the arm underneath, the team underneath the fire and the root. The team will still meet as all agency. And then later down the road, if there's an opportunity for us to have another team, we can look at doing that.
Not quite understand what you're saying.
Let
Yeah,
me
but
bring up the
figure out
structure.
fuels,
Yes,
This, and you're saying we're no longer going to do that.
What,
Roughly speaking.
so what happened was, we had, most of those players were meeting as with our agency hats on to get together, try and share some information. We didn't feel like it's appropriate for non-agency folks to be at this potential planning meeting where we're batting around potential ideas, things that may or may not happen. It's just, it's business. The agencies, DNRC, Forest Service, RCD are trying to work. Excuse me. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Maybe we need another, excuse me, maybe we need another that we're firing the roots. Sorry, I don't. Well, maybe we need another meeting to keep the fuels. What do we call them? The fuels,
fire and the root fuels team. I guess my question to the fuels leads would be, what would be our role individually as members in this fuels team? And that's something we can have a side conversation, but after talking to Dave and Byron today, their suggestion was just, again, to just dissolve it right now, let the agencies do their business. You guys will still have a lead that reports out to the team and lets us know, you know, what's going on. If we can be a part of anything, then obviously we would help with any outreach, education, coordination that needs to happen. But again, I guess I would leave that up to you fuels folks. If there's an opportunity for us to be involved and have a full team underneath, we're more than happy to. But I think right now it's business.
Yeah, this is not a role for a community member.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Go ahead.
With respect to our new directives here on controversial issue crossing. I think that the purpose of this council is to provide community input precisely in this sort of group. That we have agreed as a group to, you know, to organize ourselves as Fire and the Root. We're a community-based organization. We're, you know, at least promoting ourselves as being anomaly and interface between these super important things that are going on. Millions of acres undergoing major transformation in this critical watershed. And that we are in a position here as Fire and Root to be that interface between and to to be in those meetings. And to be
Rick,
able to.
can I
ask their
interrupt?
community.
Because we
No,
are
no.
running out of time. I don't believe that does fall in our mission. I think that is beyond our mission. So I think you're gonna have to talk to the agencies separately. We're not here, this council does not tell the Forest Service how to do their job, nor do we tell the DNRC or anybody else how to do their job.
DNRC is in this meeting. Forest Service is in this meeting.
Yes, they are, but they are cooperating with us under our mission statement to do the business of our mission. What you're sounding like you want to do is give input to them and how to do their jobs, and that's not what we can do here. We don't have time. It's not within our mission statement.
So if I could just interject just for a second, I agree with what you're saying, Judy, but I kind of think that fire management deals with all lands, not just with agency lands. And that's why we need to remember that community inclusion is important. Now, I'm not saying it, with your group, I'm not quite sure that it's needed there, but I think for the council, we need to take into account it's all lands, and we can't, the fire doesn't stop at the Forest Service boundary, we all know that. But just one opinion.
Well, it's just two opinions, mine.
No, and I agree with you, Sam. I think that there's definitely an opportunity. I just don't think I don't know if the council is ready to do that right now, unless is someone willing to take the lead on that team? And I mean, there's a lot of fields coordination going on right now, and there's several meetings. And so I guess, yeah, I would leave that to the fields leads. And if they're ready to take another team on, then we're more than happy to be a part of that, but I just don't know if we're ready for it right now.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I don't want to prolong the discussion, but I would say that actually I work for the Forest Service. We've had a lot of discussion because the public, it needs to be a part of the discussion.
Yeah.
And because there's a reticence on the part of the public to identify where a project, for example, fuels management is happening or mitigation. We can't properly map or analyze the fire behavior. And it's an important component, but anyway, we don't need to prolong it now, but.
Yeah,
I think
what,
it's a subject that needs to be a part of this discussion somewhere down the line in the near future. Because time is an essence here. And we don't have all that much time to wait and then say, what's the timeline and what's going on? I think the discussion needs to come onto our agenda sometime in the near future.
and that might be a question of, do we want to change our mission statement?
Well, I was looking at the mission statement is. The Fire and Root Council's mission is to promote and facilitate the long-term reduction of risk from wildfire and adaptation to wildfire by communities and residents throughout the Valley County.
Pretty broad.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think, I mean, if the communities and residents want to be more involved in decisions that are being made kind of outside of the whole NEPA process, of the kind of decisions you're talking about, then, our mission is to promote and facilitate. Yeah, so I don't think it is outside of the present mission statement, I guess is what I'm saying.
I mean, reduction of risk in fuel treatments are pretty synonymous. Now, how you promote and facilitate fuel treatment locations and activities. It's a good question, but not one we're gonna finish the discussion on now.
That's why I think we need to have another.
Right,
One that
so,
we need
as
to,
a segue to that, there's been some questions, so. Let's move on to the next item, which it's called a controversial issues process, and the people on Zoom will then have a copy of this with them, so I'm gonna read it for their sake, and you guys have your own copies. Maybe some of you could come next month with some ideas written down about how to solve it. So Fire in the
This
Root
might be a
Council,
good task team. Cause I think there's a substantial subset of people that are interested that might be able to come up with something.
yeah. Okay. So Fire in the Root Council necessarily has an ambitious agenda to cover in the short 90 minutes we agreed to meet each month. It's becoming increasingly more difficult to manage the time efficiently. Everyone has a voice, and we can expect from time to time that someone may feel they did not get an adequate hearing of their perspective, especially if it seems their view is in the minority. For this reason, we will try out the following solution going forward. If anyone feels we didn't or couldn't make time to hear them out sufficiently, that person can contact Eurista or Judy to request a 5-minute time slot in the agenda for the following month to present their perspective or proposal. That will give time to synthesize their viewpoint into the most important points. If possible, it would be preferable to write your points down and have copies available for people to read during the meeting and have afterwards to consider further if they would like. It's a common experience to find that when we have limited time to present our thoughts, writing them down helps us focus on the most important things and more easily leave out extraneous words and emotions. As we have seen, many of us are passionate about our viewpoints, so it's frustrating when we don't feel heard. In order to prevent that frustration from turning into disrespect toward others, let's give this process a try and see how it works. We appreciate your consideration as we try our best to juggle a lot in only a little span of time. Eurista and I, as co-chairs, are asking for your support on that. So maybe some of you will want to ask for some time and write up your 5-minute little presentation. We'll try to fit them in as we can, but we literally have 6 minutes left. So I hope you can appreciate that we are trying, but we can't hear everybody on every subject all the time.
Quick question, is this a new council structure?
We're about to go into that on the agenda in the next 5 minutes now. I guess we'll skip hours tracking.
No, that'll
No.
just be a statement.
Yeah.
So please remember to keep track of your hours. You know, if you come to meetings or if you attend a booth or go to an event, even if you keep it on a little sheet of paper or send it to any of us, Anna, me, Judy, or your team leads, so we can just keep track of that. You need 20 hours this year to vote next year, so that's why it's important. If you attend all the meetings, right, that adds up pretty quick. But that's all that statement
Yeah.
comes down to, just
And
try and keep
that's-
track of.
That's
what you
important
do.
because we're coming up to probably next month voting on the communications plan. So only those people that have already got hours sufficient to vote will be voting. Right. Okay, Anna, do you want to give us an update on, are you doing the council structure?
I can, yeah. So this is not necessarily ton of change, Rick. All we did was move myself out of co-chair and put Eurissa. And then you will see the Fields team. Yes, we just did that tonight. Again, we can put it back on. Obviously, it sounds like there needs to be more discussion about that. So we will have discussion with the Fields folks and figure out what we can do as far as still having a team underneath.
I think that the council structure changes to that should not be done without prior discussion.
Well, see it as a proposed change, right? If that is what people want, but as Anna said, we can see what the role could be, because I think that is the question, right? If there are community members part of that Fields team, in reality, what can you do?
Oh, I've got lots of things.
No, but you can probably attend the meetings and ask a lot of questions and say a lot and make a lot of suggestions, but in reality, on the ground, what change can that cause? And I think that's what it comes down to, right? So for the sake of time, see this just as a proposal, right? That is what it would look like if we remove that group.
Only because we did vote on that structure initially, so I think any changes to that structure should be discussed as
Yeah,
the
yeah.
next meeting.
Yeah, it'll obviously be old business for the next meeting.
Yeah.
And then I will just add, I'm gonna reach out to the assessment team, and if anyone else feels like they want to be part of the assessment team to help out, to learn how to do assessments as the season starts, let me know. Otherwise, I'll be emailing and we'll try and set up a meeting so that we can get together as the assessment team and, structure a plan for the assessment season that's about to start.
And did you want to talk about Facebook profile?
Yeah, because I think that's all that's left. So the last item on the agenda is Facebook, just in general, and then specifically Facebook profiles. I wanted to say, so we have a Facebook page. If you haven't liked it, please go like it, share our post, comment on it, make sure other people share it, because we have like 2 people liking stuff, right? We would love it if it just gets out there. And then be mindful. In here, we have differing opinions, right? And we try to sort it out by a discussion. But when we're out there, we should be a united front, right? So if you differ in opinion from someone on social media, that's part of this team, contact them in private, right? So praise in public and criticize in private, that's the thing, so that we present a united front. So I just wanted to put out there, social media can be tricky. And then I really want to do little Facebook profiles on the council members. I know some of you are going to groan and grump about this, but please send me a picture. And if you don't send me a picture, I'm going to find a picture. And
Like the one you find.
because I know. And tell me something about you. It can be anything. So I'm not going to make you tell me, where you grew up or what your favorite food is, but something interesting. Your favorite part of the Bitterroot, living here, your favorite restaurant here, something that someone may not know about you. And if I don't hear from you, I'll reach out, and then I'll run little profiles on Facebook. It's nice for us to also just to get to know each other. We're not just a face here, someone that, gets upset about something and that's the only thing you know about that person, right? And for the public, if we want to go do assessments at their houses or reach out about the CWPP, we're not just like fire in the root, we're people, we're humans with likes and dislikes and 2 Labradors that you don't know, right? So if you don't send me stuff, I will make stuff up, and you don't want me to do that. So that I think is what we'll end on.
That was a challenge.
I respectfully ask that you don't make stuff up for me.
Well, you'll be the first to get your picture in, right?
I respectfully ask that you don't search for my profile. I don't, I'm pretty careful.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all for trying really hard to make this end on time, and we're only 1 minute late.
And we started late.
And our next meeting, will be Tuesday, April 4th here. And we didn't hear from any of our Zoom people, so I hope if they had questions, they would get back to us before the next meeting.
They can't see you, hang on. Can you see now? No.
Sorry,
they're-
There they are.
Melissa's waving,
Bye, Melissa.
Bye.
and I think Meg already left, and there's John.
Night, John.
All right.